Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. How the hell are you? Haha. So much to report. I'm so excited to be back. I know a lot of you are looking forward to Sam Levine once again sitting in this seat, and I apologize. He's over in that seat.
That seemed like a disingenuous apology.
What? Really?
No.
You had fun with Jim O'Hare in my absence?
Yes, Jim O'Hare and I had a wonderful time.
I enjoyed the show.
We thought of you often.
He was delightful. I loved his opening gag.
Yep.
He pretended he was upset that I wasn't here.
Yep.
And then he shouted how excited he was that I wasn't here.
Well.
And rather than it was you.
You know what you did.
Yes. And then he helped out with the live read, the ad.
Yep.
He said he was going to go online and order.
Yeah.
Because he was so upset about his razors.
Yeah.
He's going to go to harrys.com.
And I believe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he did as well. So that was a great show. Thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, I appreciate you settling back into your chair because I know the excitement that you feel within for today's guest had you levitating.
Well, she's my favorite character on one of my guiltiest of all pleasures.
Well put. Yeah, this has been talked about. Today's guest has been talked about, and I wasn't sure I knew the level of enthusiasm, and I of course had worked with this fine actress myself and enjoyed it, and then had been sat down by Jamie to find out how brilliant this actress really is by watching the television program that she was on for many, many years. But I wasn't sure if I booked today's guest, if Jamie would actually be upset, like I was picking on you or something because of your so-called guilty pleasure of this show.
No, I mean, I'm not embarrassed by it. It's just not as well known as like my love of Disney or The Simpsons.
Yeah,
But
or Mad Men.
yes.
Yeah, sure. But it turns out today's guest is also a huge Mad Men fan, or so the research suggests. We'll find out.
She has good taste.
Yes,
really.
she has good taste. So much to report, folks. I know a lot of you, well, 3 or 4, were paying attention to the goings-on. And when I mentioned the thing about Sam not sitting in this chair and why the hell I'm back here already, I was supposed to be in Cleveland, where I departed, seems like only a couple of weeks ago. Actually, seems like years ago. But it had only been a couple of weeks. 11 below zero is not something a California born and raised fellow enjoys, but I went there for a motion picture called Wake, aptly titled. It's dead. After a week of shooting, the night of the Oscars, a week ago tonight, the cast and crew received a phone call that payroll had not been met for the next week's production. This movie stars Bruce Willis and Sir Ben Kingsley. So imagine the surprise as I was watching the Oscars that Michael Keaton did not win. So we were told the next day, money's coming, we're absolutely going back to work, just hang in there. And that lasted until Wednesday when everyone packed up and went the hell home. There's legal details, or rather reasons, that I probably shouldn't go into more detail about exactly who is to blame. You'll find out soon enough.
Was it Lyle Landley?
Yes. What? Is this a Simpsons reference?
Yeah.
It is, from the Monorail episode.
Oh.
You know the poster that we have hanging in our hallway?
Yes, the episode that Conan O'Brien wrote and everyone loves.
He steals the money and
Lyle Landley, is that not Phil Hartman?
it is the late, great Phil Hartman.
And also the late, great Leonard Nimoy's in that episode.
Which was in my notes to get to, so let's jump to it. One of the great Jews of all time, Mr. Leonard Nimoy.
Big friend of turtlenecks.
Big friend of turtlenecks. And Jamie, I'm going to go back to you for a connection with your own family and Leonard Nimoy. Are you at liberty?
My mother's ready to step right in to this place. Don't worry about it. Other than the fact that she's like 5 foot tall.
Yeah, but you're going to have to explain a little bit more than that, what that actually means.
My mother, who, God bless her, does not age, and luckily I will inherit this gene, but she has had the same tight, short, black haircut since before I was born.
Spock haircut.
Yes. And to the point where my eldest sister, Jill, did not want her coming to parent-teacher night because the kids would make fun of her and say, your mother looks like Spock.
Yeah. So the inside joke around the Fox household is that Leonard Nimoy may be gone. However,
I'll just put my mom up on some stilts.
Spock lives on.
Yeah.
We just need him to be seated at all times.
Yes.
So yeah, great respect, and there was a huge sort of memorial and an outpouring of love on all social media, of course. The only way we can communicate to each other now. I met him once, wait for it, William Shatner's fourth wedding, maybe? One of the great Canadian Jews, staying with the Canadian theme of today's show. Yeah, and Leonard Nimoy and I were the only celebrities at William Shatner's wedding. I can't believe Richard Takei did not show up. George Takei did
Wasn't
not
that
show
the
up.
drowning in the pool wife?
Nice.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
It
Yes.
was. That's what you always say. I'm like, which wife was it? You're like, the drowning in the pool one.
Well, it's common knowledge that the woman did in fact drown in a pool. But when I made the reference, it was under our roof without the internet's presence.
How was that so? That's a fact.
And that's why you're the head writer on the show.
I think it's well known that that's how.
It is well known.
It's
My
well
God.
known. It's not well known that that's how he refers to it.
That is the beautiful part of this show. We don't hold anything back. Our guest is creeping out the door at this moment.
Wait, I interrupted the story about the Wake movie, and I'm dying to hear the end.
No. So yeah, Bruce Willis asked me to do this movie. I read the script. It's fantastic. John Pogue, the director, who did a rewrite as well. Great, terrific guy. Sir Ben Kingsley, Ellen Burstyn, just some marvelous people. Conrad Hall, DP, just
Wow.
Great gathering. The great Mark Catone, one of the great first, I'm going to stop saying great now, first ADs of all time. And it was just really a phenomenally fun, other than the 11 degrees below. My hotel room was like a space station. I went to the gym, I had room service, I got in the van to go to work, I went in my trailer, and I walked to the set. I'm sorry, Cleveland, I did not see the rest of you. I do remember one day being in the lobby, and I apologize to our guests, I just realized this is going on forever. Being in the lobby, and Sir Ben Kingsley walking in. I just went to the Cleveland Museum. It was fantastic. I thought, really? So I'm a loser now? Just a big L on my forehead? Thanks, Sir Ben. So the movie shut down, and I don't want to believe in a universe and a thing and a powerful and a thing and a that, but wonderful things instantly started happening once the movie shut down. One of which is I've been offered a television pilot. Yes, how about that? I'll report more if we actually shoot it. No, it's set to go in a month from tomorrow.
What is the name of this pilot?
None of your business. Actually, the name of the pilot is Angel from Hell, and I was flying back with Richard Lewis yesterday, who, as you know, created the term from hell.
The blank from
and
hell.
I believe has been through a couple of lawsuits. Has the lighting changed, or is it changed
It
outside?
is outside, my
Okay,
friend.
good, because I felt a little strokey. We went from a matinee to a night show, an evening performance. So yeah, this pilot, and then other things to report if they continue to come together. Yeah, wow, crazy positive things happening. So more to report on that end, and that's why I'm back, as it were, prematurely. We have a couple of your emails. We asked you to write to us, contact@kevinpollexchatshow.com. We'd love to hear from you. One of which involves our very own Sam Levine. I'm going to let him answer that one, but first, this one. Wait for it, Sammy.
Right.
Dear Chat Show,
Scientist, huh?
this is going to be long-winded. Sorry, I've already blown 17 minutes of the show, so I can't read your email. We'll hold this for next week. I've already gone to fuck myself. He's a fan of the show, and he knows how we talk here. Now that I've showered, let's begin. That was unnecessary. I do the Chat Show Old School on iTunes and have been for a while. I've been meaning to write for a while, never got around to it. Recently, I met someone that, well, it's kismet. Let me explain here how much we have in common. I currently reside in South Florida region. I am a tall Jew from the Squirrel Hill region of Pittsburgh. Jamie, how are you doing? Wow.
I like a tall Jew.
Yeah, you do. And being from Pittsburgh, this just might work out for the two of you. I am a Point Park graduate in the theater program. What the hell? Yeah. Where J-Mac and Jamie went to the college, the university, where I think at least one of you graduated, right?
Yes, I graduated in 3.5 years. Somebody graduated in 5 years?
5 years.
Bingo!
Thank you.
5 years. Bless you. I graduated in 9 months from university. I got my SAG card on a little project called From Earth to the Moon. This guy's tying it all together.
What?
Episode 3, the scenes where your friend and ex-boss Josh Molina, former guest of this show and another favorite of Jamie, now I currently 10 bar. One of my regulars started talking theater. She mentioned she used to do a little theater in her high school days back in California, and her acting partner became quite famous. Yep. And then he mentions her name, which I don't know if I should mention. Well, I talked about her in my book, so why not? Michelle Freiberg, now Michelle Hickford, who was my co-star in my first and only one of 2 stage performances, A Tryst of Rye. I played the bar mitzvah boy. I was 11. It's a stretch. So that's my story. I know you're coming to Parker Playhouse, where I just was with Richard Lewis. I want to thank all the folks who showed up to that show. At the end of the month, this was written earlier, I'd like to make an offer. What's better than a Permante's sandwich? He tried to get me to meet him at Permante's. Sorry, that didn't work out. Hopefully Jamie's coming to town as well. Also didn't work out. Give me a holler. Long-winded. So there's a photograph?
Yes.
So J-Mac, for those of you that watch the show, and if you don't, here's another reason why, you son of a bitch. We're throwing up a photo of myself and I believe Michelle Freiberg and the rest of the cast from Godspell. That's right, high school performance, senior year, everybody loved it. Sammy, this email, I believe is for you.
All right.
First, I'm a big fan of the chat show. My question for Sam Levine, spelled with 1 M, so already there's a problem,
Oh, boy.
is about the movie Drones,
Wow.
which Sam was amazing in. Drones showed up on the Encore movie channels a few years back before I had ever heard of it. I love the movie, but ever since then I find it really hard to find, and I'm confused by this. The official website has links to various outlets that don't work. I finally found it on Amazon, but not with a simple search. Well, that just makes you an idiot.
Yeah.
It puzzles me when a very funny movie just gets lost in the system, and that makes you a darling to this show.
Yeah.
Sammy,
I'm
want
gonna
to answer Ernie Lime Cooler from Seattle, Washington?
I have 2 words to answer this question.
Okay.
Fucking Obama. No.
Zap!
Here is the answer to that very sweet question.
Yes.
So the picture Drones,
Yeah.
we were on Netflix, but they said thanks but no thanks, so go fuck themselves.
Yep.
And then Amazon does still carry it, both the DVD for the low price of $19.99.
Well, why not? That's necessary.
Or if you have the streaming,
Yeah.
and who doesn't?
I got the streaming.
It's like $4 or $5 to stream it right now via Amazon. The reason this person is having trouble finding it is because in the interim, another movie with the very same title, Drones, has come out.
No.
That went also direct to DVD. And that one is confusing people. So if you want to look for this one, you have to type in the year, Drones movie 2010.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And
You really are great in the movie, and Jamie,
thank
It's a
you.
great movie.
we really did enjoy it.
Directed, we had the whole cast on. It
Yeah.
was directed by Amber Benson and Adam Bush,
Mm-hmm.
and written by Ben Acker and Ben Blacker. Mark Evan Jackson's in it, who I adore. Lots of good.
Medj? Yeah. So
Lot
check
of-
out
lot of
Drones,
good-
and there's your
It's-
answer.
it
Please
is-
write to us.
It is worth seeing.
It really
if you
is lovely.
haven't.
And shot for a nickel,
1 nickel.
as I recall. You guys set a record.
Yep. Hey, and we got paid, so better than your
Unlike Wake.
giant production.
Yeah. Well,
So-
the actors technically had half of our money in escrow.
Oh, I see.
So we did. So technically, I got paid. I got overpaid for a week's
For
work
1 week.
by a lot.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So anywho. All right. Well, I think I've tortured our guests long enough. We've set a record. Fortunately for us, she was born and raised in Canada, so there will be no ill will towards us for making her sit uncomfortably. Because as the old, annoying to her perhaps joke goes, do you know how you get 1,500 Canadians out of the swimming pool? You say, please get out of the swimming pool. They're very polite. Please welcome Lauren Collins.
Hello.
Hello.
Woo.
So thrilled first of all, that you're in town, that you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Sammy was saying earlier that it's a horrible pilot season for moderately sized bearded Jews. How's it going for you?
It sucks. No, you know what? I should say it's actually been busier than normal, but like in general.
Right.
I mean, I wish I could come here and say, like you just did, that, you know, I just got a phone call and got offered a pilot.
Yeah.
Because it sucks. It's hard. And it's like the grind constantly. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You know.
I had many of horrible pilot season. I think the only reason I got this call, to be totally honest with you, other than the show's creator alleging to be a fan, is that I was on this top 10 show on CBS this season, and CBS was a fan of enough.
On Mom?
On Mom.
Yeah.
And so CBS was a fan enough to not make me jump through hoops and audition.
Oh, that's
Otherwise,
fantastic.
I'm sure I would have been going through the same aggravating
It's
assault.
a really awful.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Awful process.
I mean, it's nice to have this sudden momentum of opportunity
Sure,
or possibility. And I'm going to stop doing this, I promise.
And like being Canadian, I think, you know, pilot season is sort of like the one time that we are like given an opportunity down here, that they're like really searching for new talent and, you know, maybe people that haven't like had a break down here yet.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, it really can knock you down.
That's
you
the
know?
thing.
Yeah.
You do get, you're vulnerable to expectations a little bit.
And it's a lot of work, you know, like everything is coming really fast, and you have like an audition the same day, and here's 10 pages of lines,
Yeah.
learn them now,
Yeah.
you know, like get into this character right away. So it's hard.
Yeah. Well,
That's why I got to phone it in.
that's why you got to phone it in sometimes. Sammy,
Well,
wait a second.
how's that working out?
I feel like you may have just explained why your pilot season's not going so well.
Oh, no.
No, but
No.
it's hard not to. I will give you that. It's hard to like not get to
Yeah.
a certain point where you're like, whatever.
I just had a visual. You've been to Las Vegas?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a huge double level or two-story escalator that takes you down to the train once you arrive in Las Vegas to go to your luggage. And people on that escalator going down to get to the trains to go to luggage are the happiest, most excited people in the world. And people that you pass going up the escalator
like,
who have come
"Get me
from
out
Las
of
Vegas have camp suicide on their face.
We have that same, Epcot has the same thing, because whenever you get off the monorail to go to Epcot, like you're really excited to go there, and then as you come, and you have to like go down a ramp off the monorail to go through the turnstiles,
Yeah.
and you're really excited, but then as you leave, like you have to go back up to and everyone's just exhausted, and that's why some people like to joke that Epcot is an acronym for every person comes out tired.
Yes. Well,
like that.
and a crushed soul, too.
Yeah, there's always a friend of mine is here, and we always say that right after pilot season, if like nothing is worked out, there's always one project that we come home to that's usually like some really crappy TV movie
Sure.
or like something that, you know, I normally would not be excited about,
Right.
that everyone is so hungry for, because we've just been like knocked down
Yeah.
and don't have a job, and we're like, I gotta get it, and you put like all of this energy into, you know, like a really shitty Lifetime Christmas movie or something, and then when you don't get it, you're like, I'm done, I'm quitting, this
Yeah.
is not for me.
Yeah.
And then you gotta kind of get yourself back up there.
Well, isn't that the truth of the marathon of show business?
It is.
Of giving
It's-
your life to it. And there is no actual moment that even lasts, it seems, of celebration. We're going to talk about a few huge moments of celebration. I want to talk about the most recent, which was just this past Toronto Film Festival.
Yes.
First time writer, producer, and star of a film that was accepted into the Sundance Film Festival.
Toronto Film Festival.
Excuse me, Toronto. And but by the way, I've been to both. They are practically kissing cousins in terms of impact and power and what they mean to show business. There's probably more films sold at Toronto than there are at Sundance.
I think so.
It's
I think
ginormous.
it's Cannes, Toronto, Sundance,
Yeah.
maybe.
And depending on which one you're accepted at, it moves up or down in that list.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It was a very overwhelming experience. I obviously, being from Toronto,
Yeah.
have, you know, I've attended the festival for years, and
Right.
I've never had anything in it. So yeah, having the first, it's a short film that I co-wrote. My writing partner and the director is here today, Ben
And
Lewis.
co-star.
And co-star.
Ben Lewis.
Yes, my dear, dear best friend. Yeah, we, this was totally born out of frustration, out of not working on stuff that we were really excited about and seeing so many people around us like creating their own material and just, wanting to, basically just saying like, why aren't we doing it? We can do it.
Good for you.
And we lived together at the time in Toronto, and we just said like, let's start brainstorming and let's start, let's
I
come up with
whine
some
about it
ideas.
on this show all the time.
Yeah.
If you're not creating, you're waiting. And at some point, you've got to get proactive. Unfortunately for me, it happened very late in life, but whenever it happens. So for you, in this case, you're still in your 20s, technically.
Just barely, just barely hanging
Till
on
the
there.
end of summer, I believe?
No, okay.
No, that's next year.
That's next year.
Right, this you're going to be 29.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That
And
went from
29
a
is
really
supposed to
cute,
be-
like, oh, I'm barely hanging on. Hey,
I was
I'm
like,
not
hang on
30
a
yet, you piece of shit.
Don't age
I'm not
me.
even 29 yet. It's a perfect time, actually, for you and Ben to start getting wildly proactive in your own lives and careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Now, in your case, though, it is happening late because you started acting at what? 10?
10.
Yeah, crazy.
That's what, when you talk about the ups and downs of this.
You've been through it already.
Yeah, and really like so many times coming to that point where I'm like, is this what I want to do?
Yeah.
Because I just kind of, starting so young. And it was something that I was not pushed into. Like, it was definitely something that I wanted to do.
Right.
But I did, I've had to step away a couple of times and just be like, okay, am I still in it for the right reasons? Do I still want to keep like putting myself through this?
Yeah.
And I've always come out like, yeah, the torture is worth it.
Yeah. Well, it's at some point you have to embrace that it's actually, in the pursuit of work is the job. And then once you're hired, it's the fun time.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's almost like that's the vacation.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time
and
we're
if you
just
can get through those other times,
Yeah.
then I feel like, that's what makes it worth it, I guess. That's how you know that you really are meant to be doing this.
I will tell you, the more miserable people are, they tend to be the ones who haven't had as much struggle and therefore don't have as much to appreciate. So let's tell me a little bit about. You guys wrote I have full disclosure written down. It's called Zero Recognition.
Yes.
You wrote, and it's one thing to say, let's get involved in our own careers and be proactive.
Yeah.
How long does the writing process take?
It was all pretty quick. Okay, so I have to say, I'm probably going to embarrass Ben. I don't know if you read this in your research.
Probably.
But like one of the first inspirations, I guess, for us wanting to work together and Ben really wanting to write something that was like, a vehicle for me was a little film called Miami Rhapsody.
That's in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a favorite film of his. I had not seen it. I watched it when we started the process. And
Right.
I guess there was something about Sarah Jessica Parker.
She talks to camera.
She talks to the camera in the
In the
movie,
beginning,
and
yeah.
I think, he found like our sensibilities were kind of similar. So yeah, that was one of the, look at that. That was one of the,
Well, we should tell the audience that I'm actually in the
yes,
film.
he is in the movie.
That's
He's in the movie.
That's the allegedly embarrassing part.
It's
but
one
that
of
was
those
our.
movies. It plays like a Woody Allen movie, but it's
It does.
not.
In fact,
Uh-huh.
David Frankel, who wrote and directed it, took a lot of shit and a lot of hazing for trying to be Woody Allen because there was a lot of tracking two shots that Woody Allen reinvented what comedy is with the tracking two people talking. And then.
But I didn't mean that's a
Of course,
bad
you
thing.
have
I mean, it
to
works.
Yeah, we didn't think it was a bad thing either, but the critics went after him. His next film, of course, was Devil Wears Prada that he wrote and directed, so he ended up doing okay.
Well, somebody had a little Devil Wears Prada storyline on Degrassi, just saying.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
I
Jamie's
did.
going to bring it. We hadn't even mentioned that word yet.
I have to say, like, after that intro, which was so lovely, I feel like there is no possible way that, like, I'm not going to disappoint you. Really, like,
You are in the right business.
very high. So I hope that this isn't, you're not like, why did we crush? You know, there are like those people that you always want to meet, and
Sure.
then you meet them and you're like, well, that was a big letdown. I really just hope that doesn't happen today.
Well,
Want to put that out there?
it can't, and I already told her when we met on another film that we'll
Yes.
get to. I already told her that thankfully you were a delight. Which really, that's the only time it's kind of crushing, when you meet someone on a bad day.
Yeah.
Which everyone has.
Yeah, and everyone has them, of course.
And I've had those moments, and you don't, it seems like that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to Toronto Film Festival for your short that you're written and producing and starring in, and it's a huge deal, and it's a huge accomplishment for something that the first time you decide to be proactive in your career and you guys get into the Toronto Film Festival. That's so ridiculous and
Yeah.
not the norm.
Absolutely, and I think we knew that, and that's what made it so significant, and
Yeah.
the fact that it was Toronto, and
Yes.
that's our city, and this is our festival. It was so special. Now, of course, the immediate thought after that is, oh God, the next thing we do, what's going to happen if that doesn't get in? Like, we have to kind of keep this momentum going. Like, of course, your brain goes there.
Well, it has to fuel you to both to get to work on the next thing for sure.
Oh, definitely. And, they do, it really is an amazing group of people working at that festival. And, the networking that they do for you, and the behind the scenes programming that I had no idea even existed was so beneficial and so eye-opening, kind of overwhelming.
In what way?
I think also because they clump a lot of the Canadian filmmakers together. So we were doing a lot of these conferences and networking sessions with feature directors.
Right.
And that's, this was a short film that we made for like $4,000
Right.
in 2 days with a bunch of friends. It was very simple. And we
Right.
kept it very simple on purpose because we didn't know what we were doing, even though we both, we have years of experience in the industry, like totally different beasts.
Yeah, you want to keep it simple, and also you don't have a big budget.
Mm-hmm.
All the more reason to be celebrating to get into any film festival, let alone the biggest one in Canada, and one of the biggest ones in North America by far.
Totally, and it was, one thing that I was so shocked to learn is that a lot of the other shorts that made it into the festival had budgets that we hadn't even dreamed of,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh wow, we could have applied for all this funding, and
Right.
there's so many opportunities, and just learning about all of that and taking all of that information in was really, really fascinating and really helpful.
I just realized that Antonio Banderas was our first 1 degree of separation
Right.
from Miami Rhapsody
Yeah.
for me.
I bet there's a bunch.
Yeah,
that we
well,
can-
I went through and there are
Oh,
a
did
bunch,
you?
as
Yeah.
it turns out.
Yeah.
So, what was the moment you get the phone call, or I guess it's an email, that tells you you're in the festival? You guys just start screaming at each other?
Yeah, Ben he was at an airport.
It was at LAX.
Yeah, he was at LAX and he was getting on a plane to go to Vancouver, I think, and literally boarding the plane. And he was like, wait, I have to call
Stop that plane!
Stop that plane, I've got to call my writing partner. Yeah, and I was in Toronto, and it was kind of like a crazy year, and I really could have used, I needed good news, and we just cried and jumped up and down,
Yeah.
coast to coast.
Yeah.
It was really exciting.
Yeah, everyone can submit a film.
Mm-hmm.
They get probably as many as 7,000 to 10,000 submissions. I was just at Sundance a month
Right.
ago, and
Yes,
I
with
know
your
that's
film, right.
that's their number. My film, by the way, that premiered at Sundance
Mm-hmm.
Film Festival, was turned down at Toronto.
Was it?
A big go fuck yourself.
There was another. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's Toronto, so they said please go away. They didn't.
If you could so kindly take your movie somewhere else.
Yeah, actually, I should read the letter sometime on the show. It was
That's
the
really funny.
single most respectful and polite and lovely.
Wow.
No thanks, because I got another one from Telluride that also said we don't think so. My problem with Toronto, I think, is that I fell for you can submit a work in progress.
but
which
they really do want.
I do not recommend.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because my 94-minute film had ballooned up to 2 hours by the time the deadline for Toronto.
Right.
And I thought, it's a work in progress. I'll say
And I'm
this.
sure, you
And
know,
they
like,
went,
the way around that is going to be, like, if you're David Cronenberg or Adam McGoyan. and
Oh,
you're,
sure.
You know, like, that's
yeah,
what they're going to
that's what they mean.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
Not
what
for
they're-
first-time
that's what they're
directors.
talking about.
First-time directors better have it tight.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're at Toronto, and your family both of your families must be going crazy.
Just losing it. It was so, and that's what was so great that because it was in Toronto, everyone was there for
Yeah.
us and, you know, celebrating with us. We had so many friends at our first screening, and yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool.
And everyone's giving you their card and saying, "What are you doing next?"
We both had like a stack of cards. We're like, what the hell do we do with these?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember who. I remember someone said, like, make notes on the cards.
They're not lying.
Anything that can, you know, even if it's what the person was wearing,
Yeah.
just like write it down so that you have some point of reference.
And did you?
I mean, you try, but
Yeah.
then I couldn't believe also how much emphasis and encouragement there was to like go out and be out at the, you know, at the
Party
and
and
the
the thing, yeah,
cocktails
yeah.
And I think we'd done a little bit of that in years prior,
Sure.
just because like.
Well, you don't have a film there. That's pretty much why you're going to see films
Exactly.
and go to parties. Yeah.
God, and there's, you know, there's a lot of that happening at TIFF. We were talking about this on the way over here. That, you know, it is, well, and this is kind of what the film is about. It is a struggle for Canadian actors, and TIFF is like our 2 weeks of, this is our moment.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
eyes
show
are
business.
on us, Canada.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of loses their mind a little bit.
Right.
And is on every silly red carpet and every like gift lounge and all these
Yes.
silly, you know,
Yes.
really silly things.
Right.
That was another thing that also kind of sparked the inspiration for the short.
Yeah. Zero Recognition. When can folks see it?
So we're actually still waiting to hear on like 1 or 2 more festivals.
Right.
And of course, there's all kinds of rules. You can't put it up online
Right.
while you're submitting. So once we, you know, hear from those, I would think by, like, certainly by the summer, it will be online.
Okay.
And ready for people to see.
Right.
Yeah, there was like a 2-week period after TIFF that they had partnered with Vimeo, and they selected a couple of the shorts to put online for people to see. So there was like a little window where people were able to see it, which
That's
was
cool,
great,
yeah.
and the response was really positive.
And people should follow you. Is it at @Lauren_Collins?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's
on
an
Twitter
underscore in
and then on
there.
your Instagram, of course, you must.
Yeah, my Instagram is different. My Instagram is Lauren F. Collins. I
Okay.
should have those.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, in terms of people following and making sure they know, is there a website or something?
There is a website for the film, but I think the best way is the film has its own Twitter, which is @ZeroRecognition.
@ZeroRecognition.
Yeah, or, you know, on mine, I will be obsessively retweeting it when it's available. So
I just
you know, I'm
remembered
sure
one
you'll
of
see.
the first embarrassing moments between us on the set
Oh,
of
God.
Picture This, when I introduced myself saying, "So my girlfriend is like a big fan, and she's more excited about me meeting you than me doing this movie,
Aww.
and she's more excited about me meeting you than Ashley Tisdale."
Ooh. I hope you didn't tell Ashley that.
Ashley was a sweetheart. She's
Yeah,
an
she was.
unbelievable
Why am I
sweetheart.
watching High School Musical? Come on, I gotta draw a line.
I was very excited about that, and I remember
There's a
there
line?
was a moment where there were a lot of late nights on that. I don't know if you, because we weren't really on
You mean
set.
at work? Tell them you mean at work.
We had a lot of late nights. Sorry, Jamie.
Well,
Yes,
you know, how
on
can
set.
you resist Hat Dad?
We were like shooting all night in a mall because that was the only time they could do it. And
Yes, I do remember that.
and we were getting really loopy, and it was kind of like right on the heels of like High School Musical being so big, and there was like more than one occasion where
10,000 people.
yeah, but I was gonna say where like one of the popular songs from High School Musical was "What time is it?" That's like the big line. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. No idea.
I did not watch High
She did
School
not watch High School Musical.
Okay, well,
Too busy
Shanae,
watching Degrassi.
the other actor in the film, and I would like say that to each other, and we're like, "Oh God, we can't say that in front of Ashley. It's mortifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was really sweet. She was
Yeah.
really cool.
So I got to finish my most embarrassing
Oh, yeah,
moment.
go ahead.
It was actually, it was the first time that I remember, yeah, it was the very first time where someone said, we were trying to figure, after we got done saying hello, and I said, you said, somehow it came to me saying something about, well, friend each other on MySpace. You said, yeah, not on MySpace, I'm on Facebook. And it was the first time, what year was that?
Really? That had to be 2007, I think.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Maybe?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Which just was, yeah.
That's the big
Yeah, I
change
think I
every
had
year for a lot of
just-
people.
I'd probably just gotten on.
It was one of the first times I had heard. It wasn't the first, but it was one of the first
Really?
times that I'd met someone who was on Facebook and had already completely washed themselves of MySpace.
MySpace was a weird.
But were you on MySpace?
Of course, for marketing purposes, yes.
But why are you not on Facebook for marketing purposes?
That's where I drew the line. I realized that Facebook was an opportunity for my friends and
Yes.
family to keep tabs on me who I want nothing to do with.
You know, you can have
I'm
a
on
fan
Twitter.
page.
Yeah, well, there is a fan page for the show.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, there's a fan page.
All right.
And now Facebook is also kind of.
Right, it's all about Instagram, I understand.
It's Instagram, even more so than Twitter. I like Instagram. I much prefer Twitter.
Because it's not as much work.
No, I actually find like I would rather. I don't know. I'd rather talk about stuff than look at stuff. Maybe.
You know,
Uh-huh.
it
Is that what
finally
it is?
occurred to me why Instagram is more popular than Twitter, and it's terrible. It's a terrible reason, and I'm convinced this is true.
Are you about to offend people who love Instagram?
Maybe.
Because one of them's sitting next to you.
That's fine, and this does not apply to anyone in this room.
Okay.
To write something on Twitter, you have to sit there, create words,
You
make a
think.
coherent
Yeah.
sentence. To put something on
mean,
Instagram,
yeah.
you go, boom, there you go, I'm active on social media.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were going. It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why it's more
less
popular.
work as well.
Yeah, it's less
And
work.
it's even,
no
you know,
thinking.
I
Looking
gave up
at
on
it,
Twitter
it's
because
so
no one gave a
mindless.
fuck what I said.
The
Yeah, that's why you
hours.
got up.
Like I didn't like nobody cares. Like I could write the funniest, most clever thing I've ever thought of, and no, everyone's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I give up.
And I hate it when you think like you're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This
It
is
never
a
is.
funny one.
Watch this.
And then you tweet it and like nothing.
yeah. yeah.
Sucks.
And then you'll say, I can't believe I ate cornflakes again. And 300 people will go, me too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
Uh,
frustrating.
all right. So let me ask, during the casting process, did you just guys call up friends and say,
Oh,
we want you to be
yeah.
in our short?
Yeah, that's
Did
exactly.
you not actually have casting
No.
auditions at all?
No, because again, you know, keep
weren't
it
a lot of
simple.
parts.
We want to work with people that we know we like
Right.
and that are gonna, you know, like obviously we weren't paying people.
Yeah, clearly.
So yeah, like our DP was someone that we had worked with before on like a similar kind of thing. He was great. The other actors were mainly friends of Ben and now friends of mine as well.
Yeah.
Who were just, you know, super excited and liked the script. And obviously we knew that we wanted to play the leads.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the point.
Well, if you're going to get proactive, yeah,
Mm-hmm,
for all intents and purposes, you better make it about you.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about the phone call from the Kroll show, transitioning to I'm going to say arguably one of the most cutting edge sketch shows now
It's fantastic.
on television.
And it's one of the nicest groups of people I've ever worked with.
Keep talking.
So lovely. Okay, so here's the real story.
Yeah.
Not a phone call. Well, it was a phone call, but it was a phone call from my agent
Sure.
in Toronto saying, I have an audition for you. This show, you know, they're like actively looking for Canadians that can work in LA. So I was like, okay, I get it. And I'm like, Wheels Ontario. And I was, of course, aware of it at that point because the first season had already been out and that sketch was such a big hit. And we were all like, you know, the Degrassi cast members are like sending it to each other. This is so funny. So I was like, I'm like, this is so, I was having like some kind of like existential crisis because I'm like, I have an audition to
Be
myself. Like, I don't get it.
Why am I auditioning?
Yeah, but I was like, well, you know what? It's it's a cool opportunity. So I
Hell
went
yes.
in, and it was just the casting director there. And the first thing I said was, so like, just so we're clear, like I was on the show for like 100 years that they are parodying. And she was like, oh, cool. And so I did it. She was totally sweet, but like, great. And I did it, and it was super fun. And then I think it was like the next day or something, they were like, yeah, they want you to come and do it. And then, of course, when I got there, they were like,
We can't
very
believe
excited.
you're here.
Yeah, and just very welcoming, very excited. I was so nervous because that is, like improv, sketch comedy, certainly not my background, certainly not anything I've ever really done before.
Yeah, that's one of my questions.
Yeah, I was terrified,
Right.
terrified. I just felt like totally in over my head, but they're so nice, and they just like, it's such a comfortable environment
Right.
that once I got there, I was like, okay, this is just like a great group of people.
Yeah.
You're not really an actor until you go in to read for a part that is basically a parody of you or you.
It was so-
And you don't book it.
And you know what? I do think that I had a moment of like, if I don't get this,
I'm done.
done.
Yeah.
That is it.
Oh, I won't.
Like-
I won't tell you the project. Years ago, I went in, and on the breakdown it said we're looking for a Sam Levine or Jesse Eisenberg type, and I went in and went,
Hey, hey.
"Why are you wasting my time with
available.
this audition?"
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not going to get it. All right. Well, have a nice day.
What are the
Yeah.
5 stages?
Yeah.
Who's Sam Levine? Get me Sam Levine. Get me a young Sam Levine. No, get me Sam Levine type. Get me a young Sam Levine. Who's Sam Levine?
Sam Levine. That's
Yeah,
right.
Those are the 5. Those are the 5 wonderful
like that, the
stages
cycle.
of show business.
Uh-huh.
So Nick Kroll, Jamie, you were saying earlier that one of our favorite parts was the actual conversation he has with you on the show when you're both sort of standing next to each
Oh,
other.
that was so fun.
The sort of interstitial things. And what was he asking?
I
you to-
can't
Well, she just
remember.
said it again. It was like I was on like she's like I was on the show for like 17 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, I can't remember if this actually made it into the show, but he made some comment about the first president of Canada, and I was
Yes.
like, well, it's a
It was
prime
Prime
minister.
Minister, yeah.
And I was like, Sir John A. MacDonald. And I guess I said it really fast, and he thought I said Sir Johnny MacDonald. Like that was our first prime minister. And like every single person we were filming in a gymnasium, and like everyone cracked up. It was very funny. Yeah, but he's such a nice guy. He actually wasn't the one that was super. He was aware of Degrassi, but he wasn't like the crazy fan. It was the writers and one of their editors.
Oh.
Really sweet guy. And I think that's what made the sketch so amazing, is that this editor, John, I want to say his name is John.
Sure.
It's not John. What is it? Anyways.
Look up the editor on Kroll Show, please. Let's give this guy credit.
Yeah. David, I can't remember. I'm the worst. And I follow him on Twitter, and he's very funny. But he was all about the details and,
Yeah.
like the freeze frame at the end on like a really awkward,
Yes.
facial expression, and the music, and just every little cut in that had his touch and really made it like,
True to
Yeah.
Degrassi.
Yeah.
There's several editors, but John Longino.
Yeah, that's it. It was John.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of Johns involved in that show, so I wasn't sure, like,
Yeah, he's the
Greibel
only
and
John that's an editor.
Levenstein, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you must have got some pretty great feedback, because it wasn't something that you had done before in terms of sketch comedy.
Yeah, everyone, I mean, I will get recognized now for Kroll Show, not even, and like people who, might not have even seen Degrassi.
Right.
Yeah, the show is huge. And it was also one of the first times that I got like street credit, like
For
people
sure.
being like, that was cool. Because Degrassi, my God, I'm thankful for my time on the show, but like,
It's extraordinary, but the word cool is very
it's not
infrequently
usually
attached.
associated with the show.
Yeah.
And not a lot of what I've done is often associated with the word cool. So to have that, and to have like,
It's huge.
yeah, it was definitely, I was like, oh wow, that feels nice.
No, we were unbelievably thrilled when you showed up on it. I remember. There was kind of a screech
Oh.
in the
Well, I
house.
just love the whole Wheels Ontario's
Well, yeah.
thing,
It's
to
so
begin
smart.
with, because it's so
It's-
smart
and, like,
and so spot on.
John, have you had John Daly on the
Yes,
show?
Yes.
and Nick. But
Oh.
John was unbelievable.
He is watching that guy
He's unbelievable.
work.
Yeah.
The way, just like the alternate lines that he's coming up with on the spot. I mean, it was like a master class
Yes.
in improv.
That's
He is
great.
so brilliant.
Yeah.
So brilliant.
They're doing something that cuts closer to J-Mac and Jamie with the Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Pon-
yes.
John Daly's from Pittsburgh.
John Daly's
Yeah.
from Pittsburgh, and the other one's from Philadelphia in the sketch.
Well,
Yeah.
John Daly is actually from.
But he actually is from
from
there.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
All right. So give me a little about growing up in Canada and deciding at age 10. You said you this wasn't something you were pushed into, because I
no.
too started around age 10, and
Did
for
you?
me it was just a matter of playing. It
Yeah.
was a make believe world that I wanted to play in.
Yeah, I think I had, tried out many different after school activities like
Right.
dance and skating and whatever. Nothing really stuck. And I was kind of shy. And it was a teacher who also was a friend of my mom, just suggested this like theater company was coming to my school, and she suggested trying it out, and I just like instantly fell in love. And the very first show I ever did was Annie, and I wanted
Also Sarah Jessica Parker.
yes, except I did not. I went on in years later to play Annie.
All right.
But that first show, I was really, I was I think 8 or 9 at the time.
Oh my God.
And I wanted the role of Molly so badly,
Right.
and I didn't get it. And I remember being so crushed in that moment.
At 8 or 9.
At 8 or 9 years old, and then being like, well, you know what? They gave me a part in the ensemble, and like I'm gonna do my best with that. And I think like that, I don't know. I guess like the thick skin.
Yeah, and
started
you also,
early.
according to the research, started smoking and drinking that day also.
I did. That was when, it was all just like super jaded after that. I was like, it's never gonna work out.
I'll show them. At 8
Yeah.
years old, it
Yeah.
was the first time you said, I'll show them. Wow.
But yeah, I think I just ended up having so much fun and making so many friends in the process,
Yeah.
and just liking, the process of putting on a show. And then the woman who ran that company was also starting out as an agent, and she came to me and said, would you be interested in doing more professional stuff? And I was like, yeah,
And your
I
folks
would.
said-
And my parents were like, hell no.
Really?
Yeah, they were not. They were, I think, just because it was so foreign to them.
Right. Right.
But after, I was like, I really, really want to try it, and I really want to do it. And through that theater company, I ended up being in a choir where we were the children's choir that was in, I don't know if you've seen Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and there's like a children's choir singing in it with Donny Osmond, who did it for
Sure.
like years in Toronto. So that was the first more like professional job that I did.
With Donnie himself.
With Donny himself.
And how was he?
I mean, I was real young. I do
probably
remember
kept you
there
away
was
from
like
him.
there was one day where we were all allowed to like get our picture with Donnie.
Aw.
Yeah, he was very sweet. Sure, I don't really remember. And yeah, that was like the first more professional thing that I did, and
Yeah.
then from there I was like, okay, Mom, like I really want to sign with the agent, and my parents talked about it, and they were on board. And then, I mean, my God, I wouldn't have been able to do it if they weren't as committed
Sure.
and,
Sure.
devoted.
And many
to it.
auditions later.
Oh my God, yeah.
When did you watch the original Degrassi? I guess it's,
No, I mean, I'm Canadian, so I knew about it.
Right.
But I was never really a fan of the show.
More of a Da Vinci's Inquest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I was like Ready or Not. Is that a thing here? Do you guys know what Ready or
I'm
Not
familiar, but
is?
it's not a thing here.
No, not a thing here. Well, I was also, I was watching like Beverly Hills 90210 at like 8 years old.
Sure.
Kind of like precocious in that sense. And yeah, I was lucky when I started and worked a lot from like 10 on, and then Degrassi just came around like as a
16?
just like another. No, I was I was probably 14 when I first auditioned, and then by the time, or maybe even like 13,
Crazy.
because I was in the 9th grade.
On the show.
Not.
Oh,
I
don't
watched
change
it.
yourself for
I
us.
was in grade
No,
9.
be who you are.
I was a freshman. Yeah, when we started shooting that.
Dear Lord. And being aware of this being a Canadian institution on television, even if was it sort of, when you were younger and you said you weren't a huge fan of it, did it sort of represent, I'm going to watch shows from America, like 90210?
Yeah, I don't, because it's not that I wasn't a fan of it, like I didn't like it.
Right.
It just wasn't something.
You were religiously following.
Yeah.
Right.
And when, honestly, when I found out that I got the show, I didn't know if I wanted to do it. I had been working a lot, and I'd just come off like 2 series, and I guess I was 14 or I was just about to turn 15, because there's this weird, I don't know what the rules are here, but when you turn 16 in Canada, that's like the magic number when you can work overtime and you can essentially like work as an adult.
It's 18 here.
Right. The laws are we're very lax about that stuff up in Canada compared to the SAG rules here. But yeah, I was just about to hit that, they call it like the awkward age of 15, where they're always going to hire the 16-year-old because they can work them to death if they want, So after some convincing from my agent, she was like, I really think, I think you got to take this, even though I wasn't really wanting to do a show. And then I did, and it ended up obviously being like a very smart decision.
Needless to say. Yeah, the rules are lax there. I think the first time someone said this, that you have a 10-hour turnaround, it was on a Canadian
10-hour
production. turnaround.
Call to call.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's ACTRA.
ACTRA, yes.
ACTRA.
ACTRA has some very, because they're just
worthless.
hire our actors.
Yeah. No, they're desperate to let.
Look at all the
people
advantages you get.
I'm sure, Kevin, you did plenty of ACTRA work back in the day.
Yeah.
As I did before SAG's Global Rule 1.
Yeah. Before
But you
the
would
Global
work
Rule
on-
1, it
You would
was.
work on a SAG contract if you were. This is probably very boring.
No, but I do remember 10-hour turnaround being explained to me, and not being happy with
But
it.
you've worked a lot in Canada.
I have.
Yeah.
I've I've done 2 films in Winnipeg.
Okay, wait, I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
You just worked with Jake Epstein, didn't you?
We didn't have any scenes together, but yes.
Okay.
We are
little
in a film called
connection.
Borealis with a
Yes.
former co-star of yours. We're going to get to that.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm jumping ahead.
But you know what? You know what? Well, you're over there making fun of me again?
No.
Okay.
Simpsons quote.
Oh, okay.
You said Borealis.
Like Aurora Borealis. This time of day, all concentrated in your kitchen.
Yes.
Lots of Simpson quotes.
You know what? Let's jump to a new part of the show as we get into the Degrassi questions. Jamie is forwarding me questions from the interwebs as they're coming in from the Degrassi fans. In the meantime, last time I was here, I started a new regular feature on the show called Famous Questions. These are not questions that themselves are famous, but rather questions that were posed by famous people.
Okay.
Specifically for you.
Okay. I'm like, what famous people?
Wait for it.
Oh, God.
We're going to start with a couple of co-stars, former co-stars. Do you remember a character, Mr. Bettenkamp?
She wasn't on anymore.
Go! So he showed up after Lauren had left?
He was play there. Yeah, this was a character named Wesley, and this was his uncle who was also a teacher.
Was Wesley
the
already
actor?
gone? Was Wesley?
I don't
Jonas
know.
Chernick is this
Oh.
actor. Yeah.
Oh.
So you know Jonas.
I don't know. I
No,
mean, I'm
they-
sure I've met him.
You know of
but
him.
I certainly know who he is, and I do remember him being on the show because he's Jake Epstein's cousin, I think.
Yeah.
Is that
okay?
right? I don't know if
Sure.
Is that the question? Because she seems unsure.
It's not the question.
Okay.
It's not the
Okay,
question.
He was on the show.
But he is
Got it.
watching live now.
Awesome. Hi,
So.
Jonas.
And his question is, he played Mr. Bettenkamp. I just worked with him on a movie that he wrote and stars in up in the Canada called Borealis. That Jake Epstein, that's the one
Yeah, cool.
where there was no scenes together. From one Canadian actor to another Canadian actor, when I was in my 20s, I believed that my career would never be completely satisfied until I broke out and worked consistently on big U.S. projects. Now, in my 40s, I work almost exclusively in Canada, very comfortably, I might add, acting in film and TV, but also creating content, writing, producing, and telling my own stories. And I'm no longer chasing some Canadian actor's version of the American dream. You, Lauren, have had an exceptional career appearing on Canada's most respected, most admired, most critically acclaimed shows. And now, coming out of your 20s, not yet.
Yeah, nice. This whole thing is just like a reminder that I'm almost 30. Jeez.
Year and a half. Let's go. You're writing and producing too. Has there been a shift for you in regards to what kind of career you want to carve out for yourself and where you want to do it? Great question.
That is a great question. And I think that, I think that's something I have been thinking a lot about recently.
Yeah. Because we talked a little bit about chasing the pilot season dream here.
Yeah.
On the heels, by the way, of historical personal success at the Toronto Film Festival, something that you created. And please don't let pilot season, whatever happens.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there before.
This
you
question
know?
sort of follows that line of thinking, which is pilot season does represent, not just for Canadians, but for actors all over the world.
Yeah.
It's kind of this known season where friends from New York are get a place here for 3 months.
Totally.
It just happens.
Totally. I don't know if, for me, right now, it's even about where.
Yeah.
It's about what.
Right.
And it's about, what is the work that I'm going to, be happiest doing.
Right.
I think, unfortunately, I do think that in Canada, having spent so long on the show, there is a real, I'm just forever tied to it and forever associated with it among industry people in Canada.
Sure.
I think that's something that, I'm constantly going to be coming up against and trying to, prove people that I can do stuff beyond that, and that's not, the only thing I'm capable of doing. So that
it's
is
a blessing and a curse to be on a show that's
Totally.
insanely popular.
Totally.
Jason Alexander's been on the show. He's become a wonderful friend, and there's no question he has been and will fight the Seinfeld thing. Again, blessing, curse. I'm capable of more. Yeah, but I loved you on that. Yeah, but that was so many years ago.
That was one thing, and
Yeah.
what can I do now?
Right.
So I do think that is something that I'm dealing with a lot at home. So does it make more sense to come here and where I'm maybe considered more of a fresher face because the show kind of flew under the radar, even though it has been around for so long.
Great point. Great point.
I don't know. It's also a matter of I am very serious now about creating my own work and writing and continuing to produce. Is that going to be easier to do at home? Maybe. I don't know. It's a really tough question because I don't feel tied to either place. So wherever I can work and do work that I really am excited about and want to do, I'm happy with being there.
Yeah.
You
You're not penalizing Canada and putting America on a pedestal. It's really about where you can stretch and grow and work.
And I mean,
thrive.
of course, the opportunities here in LA are much. There's more of them, and
Sure.
The potential to. The other thing is you can work a little bit in Canada, and you got to get a part-time job or something because even just pay scale and stuff like that is not what it is here.
Yeah, I saw that in the
all.
research. I saw that in the research, and it became ridiculous.
I mean, the reality is that, and I don't mind saying this, I've said it before, had I spent 9 seasons or 8 seasons, whatever I did, on an American show, I would probably never have to work again. Not the case in Canada. Not even remotely close to the case in Canada.
ACTRA, yeah. But
yeah, and whatever. What can you do? Our residual system is very different, and
Ugh.
Yeah.
Do they still legitimately let them buy out your residuals?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I could talk
Sammy-
about that for days.
Sammy, now factor in 8 years starring on the show.
Oh no. I'm definitely factoring that in.
Yeah.
What I'm factoring in after that is the money, the production and the studio and the network are all still making hand over fist.
Yeah.
And the actors get the big old fuck you.
Yeah.
And the writers
I was
and the actors
in I was in Israel on Birthright, and I was at the top of Masada, and someone recognized me and was speaking another language. And I was like, holy, like when you think about...
Holy indeed. by the way.
Yeah, really. It was a very surreal moment. But yeah, to think about the reach of this show, it's kind of, it's crazy. And to think I'm, now trying to think like, okay, but what's my next move? And, where's the next paycheck going to come from? Like, those are all very real concerns being a Canadian actor.
What a fantastic question, Jonas Chernick. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Speaking of Jake Epstein, a.k.a. Craig Manning.
I always said I always had a crush on Craig Manning.
You're not
Just like the character,
Totally.
you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And I
And
always
like-
wanted him to be with Ellie. I hated Manny, that dumb slut. Because Manny's like, nobody's paying attention to me. I decide I'm
Like,
going to
here's
be a
my
whore.
thong. Like,
Yeah,
that was her
exactly.
move to, like, get attention from a boy.
In high school, yeah.
And you can sell this video because it's going to be worth $1 million because
Oh
I'm
my-
going to be famous. Then she takes her top off.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
Charlie's in the trees over there.
I didn't like Manny.
From Jake,
Oh,
Lauren.
he sent a question. Hi, Jake.
Hello, my friend. It's been a while. You filmed
has.
a very scary, very realistic rape scene for Degrassi when you were only 16 or thereabouts. What went through your head when you were shooting it, and did they offer you any kind of psychological support? You've always seemed so well balanced as a person and actor,
Oh.
but I've often wondered how you were able to do that at such a young age. Another great question.
That's a really great question. And I know, because Jake had some really intense storylines at a very young age. Bipolar and dealing with an abusive parent.
Yeah.
And I know that they did have, he did like speak to a psychologist that they brought in for him. I think, so the rape storyline happened really early on. It was like early in our second season, and I think I was 15 at the time.
That was like your first major storyline.
Yeah, that was definitely, it was
Yeah.
the first major storyline. And I knew we had the whole setup of Degrassi and Epitome, the production company that produced the show, really felt like a school. And the executive producer, every year we would basically have like a meeting with her that was more like an evaluation
Wow.
of how we were doing and ways that we could improve. And we just it really did feel like
A guidance
go into
counselor.
much more so like the principal's office.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Same thing, like if you got in trouble, it didn't, and having, I was one of the people on the show that had come from working on other sets, and I remember getting there and being like, whoa, even
is this?
at 15, I was like, this is different. This works very, very differently than any other set I've ever been on. I
Yeah.
guess the biggest difference being like, that the actors were not like catered to the way they so often are, like pampered, and how actors get treated on set. It's ridiculous.
Like children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really the case at Degrassi.
You were
But
treated
when
like
it's-
actual children.
Yes, like in a school.
Yeah.
But there
Evaluated,
definitely,
I can't even
there
imagine.
definitely there was certainly a sensitivity when it came to these storylines, and they were
Right.
very, very, considerate about that. And I was given, so in one of my evaluation meeting things, which were, they were always very pleasant. I never felt like totally terrified.
Right.
But yeah, the producer let me know that this storyline was going to be coming up and that they were going to be talking about it. And I was just really excited to have the opportunity to get to do, like, most work for 14 and 15-year-olds is like Disney shows and stuff like that. This was really hard-hitting stuff for such a young age. I don't think I realized how big a deal it was, though, at the time. And I think that was a good thing. Because if I knew about, the outpouring of response and fan, sounds weird to call it fan mail, but just like, the response from people who had been through a similar situation, I think I would have completely panicked and freaked out.
Sure,
and
more responsibility.
Yes. So I think kind of having that naivete about it was a good thing.
Yeah.
I did research at the time, but also keeping it true to the character. Like, she was 15 years old, and it was very much a story about trusting someone that you think you know, and her being kind of, like naive in the situation. I remember on set that night, there was definitely a weird thing was that my dad had to be on set.
Oh!
He wasn't actually on set. I think that was, he could have been if he wanted to be, and like we had a conversation about it, and I was like, you're not gonna be anywhere around there. But because of my age and everything, he did have to be like on the premises. So they had like a parents' lounge that he was waiting in. I think maybe knowing he was there was probably in retrospect what did keep me more like secure. I think.
Sure.
But yeah, I just remember we had like a children's coordinator who was kind of like an AD, was like our go-to guy if we had stuff to talk about. And he kind of just had a chat with me beforehand and was like, the weird thing is that we were shooting like party scenes that night, and the rape happens upstairs at a party. So the vibe on set and it was at night. So the vibe on set when we got to do that kind of thing was fun, and everyone was excited, and we were shooting at night. And he was basically like, listen, I think you need to like take some time for yourself and don't hang out with the other cast today, and just really kind of do your own thing and get in the headspace that you need to be in. And I think that was a huge help. When we did the actual scene, it was a closed set, and everyone was super respectful.
Sure, of course.
Again, it was, I was the actor who played Dean, the rapist, was like 19 years old and extremely attractive. This was one of my first make out scenes. So it was just all scary. And I think I don't know, I tried to just compartmentalize, I guess, and just think about like getting the scene done and trying not to think about all the other stuff that was going on.
Sure.
God, it's like so long ago. It's so crazy
it's
to
a
think about.
Ago.
How long ago it was.
Almost half of your life ago.
Yeah.
I just picture your dad sitting in that waiting room,
God.
the parents' lounge, and a union guy coming in with a donut. Hey, she's doing real good.
Totally.
Can I get you anything?
Totally. And I can only imagine, I'm sure it was a very emotional experience for him too,
Yeah, my
God.
baby's getting raped in the other room.
In the other room.
Because it's Canada, I have a very different image. Oh, your daughter, she's doing so good out there. Oh, she's taking that rape better than anyone I've ever seen. Oh, you must be such a proud dad. Okay, I'm gonna head back out.
He's like, all right, gotta get back over there.
Yeah, why was my union guy from Brooklyn?
Fargo.
Excellent point.
Fargo.
From Fargo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wowsy.
So
All right, well, listen, there's a third famous question.
Okay.
Yeah. Degrassi starts season 15 this year,
Crazy.
which means there are young kids in the cast now who were mere infants or even just sperm and eggs.
Oh, so weird.
When you were taking your first steps down Degrassi's hallways as Paige, my question, do you miss it, or are you glad you've graduated, so to speak? This question comes from Kevin Smith.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How lovely. That's so sweet. That was a very cool moment when he came on the show and did a little cameo. God, what was the question?
Well, first of all, was that the movie Degrassi Goes Hollywood?
No,
No.
was he?
He came on and directed an episode.
It
He
was a
didn't. That was what
two-parter.
they wanted. I think he wanted to direct an episode. Then it was like, again, ACTRA, weird
Yep.
Canadian
Yep.
stuff. He came on and played a sort of fictionalized version of himself in
As
a
a
couple
director
of episodes.
looking
that
to-
They were
shooting like a horror movie.
they were
like a
shooting.
teen
He was
horror
shooting the
movie.
next. He was shooting the next Jay and Silent Bob movie
Yeah.
at Degrassi.
Yes.
That's what it was, because
Yes.
Jay was
Yeah,
Jason
Muse was
in it.
also.
Muse was also
Muse
there.
was
Alanis
also there.
Morissette, and I'm sorry, I forget Kevin Smith's wife's name. Of course, she was in it.
Oh,
too.
Jen Schwalbach.
Yes.
Yeah. God, one of my biggest, like, I can't believe I missed this in all the time I spent on the show was that I was not on set the day Alanis Morissette was there. It's like my biggest regret.
Yeah, what the hell?
Not meeting her. I loved her so much. Anyways.
Well, Kevin loved her too. Also, he made her God in one of his
Yes,
movies.
exactly. And I think, they had a good relationship, so she was
Yeah.
game to come and do that.
So the question was, do you miss it or are you glad you've graduated, so to speak?
Of course I miss it. I'm so nostalgic.
And probably glad you graduated.
Yeah. I think I wish I remembered it better. I wish I, kept more detailed journals and things like that because
Because you were young.
I was so young and
Yeah.
it was a much more defining period of my life than even like my real high school experience.
I'll bet. Which
It
sounds
lasted
like,
twice as long.
was a lot of your high school like with tutors?
Yeah, it was, no, I mean, I went to a normal high school
When you're
at the
shooting
same time.
Degrassi.
And then we had our tutors and schoolroom there, which was hilarious.
Now, Jamie's at Degrassi or Degrassi?
I say Degrassi.
Is it
Can
pasta or
I-
pasta?
It's Degrassi.
It's Degrassi.
It's Degrassi. For a really long time, the American network played promos where they said Degrassi. It's very strange.
That's
Don't
why
know
I keep calling it Degrassi. I apologize.
Yeah, it's Degrassi.
Degrassi.
Yeah.
But is it pasta or pasta?
I think I would. say
According to
pasta.
Spinner, it's pasta.
Pasta. According to?
Spinner.
Oh my God.
Spinner!
Spinner.
Does that ring a bell or
One
three?
of my questions is, I'm sorry, are you a little upset that Spinner ended up marrying Emma?
That to me, I mean, there were a couple of moments where the show kind of like jumped the shark
Yeah,
a little
that was-
bit.
that was
That
ridiculous.
was a weird. I think like
ridiculous.
Paige, we never found out if Paige had AIDS and then
Yes.
she was living in Hollywood.
We never found out.
Yeah,
if
never
Paige
found out
had
she had
AIDS.
AIDS.
Why you tell us
had
now?
I have had people come up to me and be like, did she have AIDS? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
That was a weird moment.
Yeah.
Spinner marrying Emma was definitely a weird moment.
He came back this season. He played he owns the Dot now.
Yes,
And
I
he came
think
back
I
for
heard
an
about that.
interview.
Shane
And
Kippel.
he interviewed.
Sweetest guy in the world.
Blanking on the emo kid's name. That's with
Horace.
no.
Monroe, maybe?
What? I'm sorry.
Eli?
Eli. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eli. Yeah, he hired
Yeah.
Eli for the Dot.
Sweet guy, that Shane.
Yeah.
Kippel. Love him.
Who played?
He played Spinner.
Spinner.
Who was my boyfriend.
That was
for
around the
many,
time when
many
Jamie
years.
was sitting me down and saying, you have to watch this.
So you have watched.
I've seen you in
Okay.
Spinner, or Paige
Okay.
in Spinner.
Yeah.
Yes. I saw just about enough.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
Yeah. And then I started, I think I went right from that to Breaking Bad, just to cleanse my
palate
palate.
cleanser,
Yeah. Which is a more ridiculous name for a new rock band? Zit Remedy or Downtown Sasquatch?
I mean, Zit Remedy is the classic. Damn.
Are you objective enough to realize that they're both horrible
Yeah, they're both
names?
ridiculous.
Okay.
Someone tweeted me yesterday, like very recently, and I'd seen a couple of these tweets. Don't read everything, but
Right.
they had a Degrassi themed wedding, and I don't know if they hired a band. There was someone in like a Sasquatch looking costume,
Right.
And they definitely incorporated Downtown Sasquatch, the band, into their wedding.
Downtown
Theme.
Sasquatch.
Downtown Sasquatch.
What's the name of my improv troupe?
It will be now.
Well, Downtown Sasquatch's famous member now goes by Drake.
Yeah. That's my next question.
Yeah.
That's my next
Yeah.
question. About how close all the cast members stay afterwards, and can any of you get tickets for Drake?
It is such a weird.
It must be just bizarre.
It is so.
I mean, you all knew how talented he was, that of course he
Sure.
was unstoppable, but you can never fathom that someone's going to become that huge in
I mean,
any way.
he's like the most famous, you know, with the exception of Kanye, I guess. He's like the
He's
most
right
famous
up there.
rapper on the planet.
He's right up there.
And he,
Forgot about PM. What about PMS? That was your band. I forgot about that.
do you know what that stands for? If you know what that stands for, that's pretty.
Oh wait, it's Paige. It's your it's Paige Malachek's. Oh, what's the S for?
And the Sex Kittens,
Is the Sex Kittens. I forgot.
which was the name of my band when in grade 9 or like grade 8 on the show or something.
Sex
Ridiculous.
Kittens,
Sex
yeah.
Kittens. Paige Michael Chuck and the Sex Kittens.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's literally the
about
weirdest
that.
thing in the world. I have seen him like a couple of times since, you know, he became
He
who
blew up.
is. It's weird to even call him Drake because like he's Aubrey.
Yeah, so when Dana Carvey has a great bit, he's 30 years old now, where Sting, Gordon, tells his friends, fellas, like you to call me Sting. What? You're a verb now.
Verb present tense.
Yes.
That's the bit. He says verb present tense.
So,
Yeah, I mean he's always going to be Aubrey to me.
Right.
I think you know he was a little bit of an exaggerator. I'm going to say
in
when we were shooting and like. Also, I have to say, one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, so naturally, just like has this natural comedic
maybe
sensibility.
lead with the compliment next time.
Yes.
One of the
Sure.
funniest people I've ever met, but on occasion he could exaggerate.
Little bit of an exaggerator.
So when he said, "I'm going to be a giant rap star," everyone said, "Of course
And
you are."
he didn't even really, you know, we knew that he was very interested in music and in rap but he would tell stories about like, you know, going to Pharrell's house on the weekend and we were like, okay, sure he did. And like now we're back here in North Toronto like shooting a kids TV show, right?
Once
and
you
then
get
it
in
was
the
like,
chair, Aubrey.
Yeah, and like literally it was like overnight, I was like, oh my God, everything that he's been telling us over the years, like maybe it was all true because now he's so insanely famous.
Yeah.
But yeah, like worked really hard and, you know, had to go up against a lot of stereotypes and preconceived notions that people had about him with the background that he has.
Yeah.
You know, to get where he is, and he's also really doing things on his own terms, which I think is very cool and very him.
Yeah.
Hard to get in touch with, but he did give me tickets to his concert.
Yeah, see, I saw him on a plane. You know, I was seated and he got on with at least 2 bodyguard
Oh, I'm sure.
handlers. And because Jamie had sat me down and insisted that I watch a few episodes, I first and foremost thought, Jimmy, you got out of the chair.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jimmy,
I really
you can
was,
walk.
Yeah, you can walk. And but was well aware why he was on the plane with bodyguards and that he was Drake. And yet, I thought in terms of when you were coming on, you know, if you're around long enough, in my case, coming from stand-up comedy, I was very close. Dana Carvey, great friend. At one point in San Francisco, there we were, and then he's on the cover of Rolling Stone within, I don't know, a year. And it's a thrill of a lifetime for everyone who cares about someone like that. And so I would only assume, foolish or otherwise, that you all, as his co-stars or whatever, are thrilled and to see that.
Oh, couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
And I think he does. You know, he does hold that time in his life, I think, with high regard, and I think he is. You know, from things he's told me, from things other people who have been in touch with him have told me, I think he's nostalgic for that time too, and
Sure.
and still, you know, can like have a laugh about it and some of like the ridiculous things that we had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's an incredible story. It's
You know,
crazy.
Kev, my
Please.
last flight into New York, Larry Drake. Was,
the other famous Drake.
Are you going from LA Law?
Yeah.
Wow.
How many
Sure did.
bodyguards did he have?
That is a deep track.
There's a deep cut and 16 bodyguards.
There you go.
Yeah. Travels with a big entourage.
Larry Drake, of course, famous for being one of the first television series regulars,
To go,
who was, what is the politically correct use of this?
he went full
Are you
mentally disabled.
gonna- There we go. Proud of you. Yeah. But Jake also ends up Spider-Man on Broadway.
Yeah, and Jake just won a Grammy so Drake has a Grammy and Jake has a Grammy because he was in the Carole. I mean, I assume that he gets one. He was in the Carole King musical, Beautiful, on
Right.
Broadway. In the first, he workshopped it and he was in the first cast, and the cast recording just won a Grammy.
Holy crap.
He performed at the Tonys. It's
Did you
nuts.
get to see that show?
I didn't.
Oh, do you want to apologize to Jake now?
I know. I'm very sorry, Jake. I really am, because I would have loved to see it. And I've known Jake even before Degrassi.
When you were 12?
I think Jake and I dated for a little while, and we
Wait
were like
for
11
it.
and 12.
Finally
The
got
plot
somebody's
Totally
first kiss.
He was younger. It was very,
Ooh, scandalous.
I know. But yeah, I've known Jake probably since he was 9 or 10, I would think.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's the other thing. The Toronto community is very tight knit, and a lot of us have worked together before. And one of my first jobs I ever did was with Michael Cera, when he was probably 9 years old,
Yeah.
and still the funniest person on set.
Wait, you worked together?
Yeah, we did a television show called I Was a Sixth Grade Alien.
How did that not show up in the research, Shane?
Yeah, that's a deep cut. And yeah, he played a Boy Scout who was every day his name was Larrabee. His character's name was Larrabee, and he wore this Boy Scout uniform every day.
Until people figured out he was an alien?
No, he wasn't the alien, actually.
Ah.
You know who was the alien? JT from Degrassi. Yeah.
James Tiberius.
Yeah. Because again, we all work together. And
Wasn't he
work
the
on
skinny
same-
kid?
He got stabbed to death.
He got
Got
killed.
stabbed.
Yeah, he got stabbed.
He also had a baby with Liberty.
Yeah,
and
this was not a
they
soap
couldn't
opera
afford,
at
They
all.
couldn't afford the baby, and he was stealing prescription drugs.
He tried to kill himself. Oxy.
Well, he was stealing prescription drugs to sell them,
Yeah.
so he could.
That
afford
was
the
one of the
baby.
episodes I remember enjoying.
And JT stood for James Tiberius. York.
Yep.
And not Kirk?
Yeah. York was his last name. His last name is York.
I won't allow it.
Oh dear.
And now my least favorite part of the show, but apparently we have to ask, how exciting was it to work with me? I had to wait till you finally took a sip.
It was almost a spit take. God, it was very exciting. We had so much. I had so much fun.
Yeah, it really was a lot of fun.
Shooting that movie, because that was. We didn't have much to do together, did
No,
we?
no,
You were
not
kind of
really.
had your own little.
I was
weird,
Hat Dad. That's where the
weird,
Hat Dad reference came from.
B-plot.
I was very lazy, and I'm like 20 minutes less in the hair and makeup in the morning.
Yeah.
Which means 20 minutes more sleep before you go to work, for
Yeah.
those of you watching. So they said, what do you want to do with your hair? And I said, I'd like to wear a hat the whole movie. So I wore a hat the whole Hat Dad.
It's great.
Became Hat Dad.
Yes, that was a fun. That was the first time that probably one of the first times that I was not shooting at home. So we got to we were in Montreal for 5 or 6 weeks, and I was 20, and
You were on location.
we were on location. We had per diem. It was super exciting.
With Ms. Grimes?
Yeah, with Shanae, who was also a Degrassi alum.
Yes.
Also had a rape incident.
Yes.
Also what?
Also had a rape
She was the
storyline.
second time they did a rape storyline. It was with her.
So who didn't get raped on the show?
I know.
I think it was just.
Ben, no.
Ben
He
Lewis.
He did push someone down a flight of stairs, but.
I wasn't going to bring it up. So
Oh, wait,
I do.
somebody else got raped this season. That's right.
This season?
This season?
Or no, I don't know if it was this. Yeah, it was this season. It was. Okay, so there's a Degrassi within the Degrassi. There's a fake Degrassi, and then this girl that was an actress on it is now on is going to school there.
What does that mean?
There was, God, I'm blanking
You mean
on the fake show.
the characters on the show were watching a Canadian?
Yes, they're watching a show that's
Canadian
like
soap
Degrassi.
opera about
yes,
kids.
Yes, and then like, but
It
the
went
one of
meta
the
this year.
actresses is now like going to school at Degrassi.
That is
and she
so
got
strange.
raped at a
That
pool
was your
party.
lives, all of your
So
lives. And she got
strange.
She got raped at a pool party. So
At a
there's
pool
a
party.
third rape that happened.
But her character on the Degrassi, within Degrassi, did not get raped.
I know, yeah.
That's the good news.
I wonder what happened to her.
Wow. Oh.
Like Inception.
I mean, the show's, it's in its 15th season. Like, you gotta.
Yeah, and there was even a repeat of you were saying earlier about another lesbian relationship. So a
Oh, I'm
lot
sure
of
there've
the
been-
a lot of the research, a lot of the interviews, past interviews, they were in your.
Zoe is the character's name.
Nice.
It came to me.
Knew you would
Zoe,
pull it.
yeah.
They were asking
And she's a bitch.
another one that you can't stand. That's not the religious one.
Oh
that you can't.
no, I hate Claire. Really? Not the actress, the
Because
character.
Aislinn Paul, who plays Claire, is.
A dear friend.
I mean, she's, you know, we were never on the show at the same time. She's much younger, but
She's
is
talking
a
about-
lovely.
I'm talking the character.
She's talking about
I'm
the
not
character.
like I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
these people personally. I do not like the character.
Well, you yourself had
Fair.
said Paige was quite despicable early on.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
People
The way
hated her.
Yeah, the way she talked to people in research
Yeah.
says you were not enjoying that all the time.
Zoe's just evil. I don't like her. Anyway.
All right, come down. So they were in your grill a bit in a lot of the interviews about playing a character that had become lesbian. And one of the things you were saying was it was only odd because she was quite the boy hound prior.
Yeah, it was.
Prior.
I mean, I know that it was, you know, it was a storyline they really wanted to touch on. We had a gay character on the show already, Marco. played by
Yes,
John
of course,
Longera,
please.
who's
Everybody loved Marco.
one of my best friends.
Former roommate.
Yes, former real life roommate. And yeah, so I think, you know, they wanted to look at someone who maybe wasn't sure how she was identifying. And again, like, they told me that this was probably something they were going to touch on. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around that because Paige, she was boy crazy. She was completely
That's what I meant,
completely
boy crazy, yeah.
up to that point. And I think they did a really seamless job with it. And
Yeah.
once I read the script, it made a lot of sense, and it was very much about a person and not a man or a woman.
Well, that was the thing I thought that you commented on that I thought was pretty great, which was you liked that the writers made it about the relationship and not about your character suddenly becoming gay. That
Exactly.
she had fallen for someone
Yeah,
and was drawn to someone, and the writers made it about that
Absolutely.
as opposed to, in terms of not, well, why did she go right back to a guy afterwards? Because that was the next person that she connected with and fell for.
And it was right after the fallout of the rape trial, which did not end in her favor, and she sort of, she bonds with it. She really pushes away her boyfriend Spinner at the time, and ends up just bonding with this girl that goes to her school and that she happens to have this part-time job with.
Yes.
Yeah, and they just found a really, I hate this word, but like they found a really organic.
Well, it was
way
organic, and also
to do it.
there was a lot of talk about. One interviewer asked, "What was it like for Paige to date a stripper?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Look, again, 15 years. You have to be as creative as possible." And one of the characters, I don't know. I thought that was awesome.
And since then, like because of that storyline and
You've dated many strippers.
I became a stripper. No,
That was a part-time job.
Yeah,
we were
exactly.
Get it to, yeah.
But yeah, I've done a lot of work with the LGBT community in another show that I had this talk show in Canada called One Girl, Five Gays, and
Yeah,
got very
I have
involved
that.
in that community, and I realized how, at the time, at 16, 17 years old, I was kind of like, oh, this seems so out of left field for Paige, but now, like, having met so many people that had a similar experience,
Yeah.
totally, it made sense, and I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah, well, that is the cool part. I mentioned earlier you were a fan of Mad Men, because in one of the research pieces, someone asked about a character, and you said Peggy Olson was a dream job.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Moss. She's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think she's fantastic. I haven't watched, what was the name of the Sundance channel? Top of the Lake. Yeah, I haven't watched that, and I really wanted to, but I just think she makes really cool choices. And
She's on another show called Top of the Lake.
yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
A series.
Yeah.
We
I think it was a mini
It was
series.
a limited run.
Yeah. Yeah, I she's not your typical Hollywood bombshell, and she's just, carved
And they
out
play
this
her looks
career.
down. She's very attractive.
She's
in
much
person.
more
she is.
attractive
She's
than
Yeah, they
stunning.
always play-
She's
yeah.
so
Yeah,
stunning
they
and
play
such
her
an
looks down.
interesting face. And yeah, she's really just carved out such an awesome career.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you were a
admire her.
fan of hers more than the show itself, you're saying?
I'm totally a fan of the show. I know you said that, and I was like, oh my God, what like random interview was I like? What show do I love? Mad Men, because I couldn't think of anything else. I do definitely. I love the show.
Are you all caught up? Are you ready for the last 7 episodes?
I'm ready. I know. I can't believe it's ending.
Matt Weiner
It's
has threatened to come on this show and talk about it in April.
He will.
Come on this show.
Really?
Talk about it. Well, he's not going to give anything away, but yeah. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
If you guys are still here, I'll let you know. You can come back. And
That's
watch.
so. I love him. Actually, I had a couple of opportunities to go in, and I guess based on what their shooting schedule was, the
Right.
auditions always came right after pilot season,
Yeah.
and I always got it like about a week after I got home, and I would say like, I'll tape for it. Like I'm not, I wasn't in LA anymore. I'm like, I'll tape for it. I would do anything to be on this show, and he won't accept tapes from actors. Will only work with people in the room, and I think that's why he finds
Such
such
amazing.
fascinating
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah, I feel like it was early summer at least when we went to visit
It was always in the
the
summer.
Mad Men set.
Oh,
It
cool.
was very warm outside.
Yeah. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about also in terms of the Degrassi experience is it's such an institution there that you went from a young actress getting a job, as you said, you weren't quite sure whether or not it was something you wanted to do. And then once you got into it, you had a lot of fun with it. But there's a whole other subculture about being a breakout star on that show and becoming that. And my assumption is it's walking down the street, the face recognition is as similar as it would be for any breakout star.
Yeah. I definitely think there were a handful of us that were kind of the face of the show.
Yeah.
And
For 8 years?
Yeah, I think it ended it spanned over probably like 9.
Right.
Because then we did this the Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And, that funny little thing.
Where you shot in LA only 2 days.
Yeah, we came down here for 2 days. That was so much fun. And yeah, I mean.
But the first couple of times you're walking on the streets and people scream as if they saw the Beatles.
I mean, I don't know if it was that. There was one incident that I will never forget. I was in the Eaton Center, which is like our big downtown mall in Toronto.
Okay.
And I was in a store, and a group of like 30 French Canadian girls who were on a school trip started like hysterically screaming and yelling things at me in French. And like I don't really speak French, and I had no idea what they were saying, but they were so excited, and like the store started getting mad because they were taking photos, and it was I was by myself because it's not like Hollywood where you're walking around with a bodyguard or something. Yeah, it was kind of scary, but very surreal.
Right.
The whole weird dynamic is that I had a very normal growing up experience.
Sure.
Like I, as much as obviously I talked about it in Zero Recognition and what that's sort of about, this kind of weird recognition that you get as a Canadian actor, not having the show, the fact that the show wasn't American and I didn't grow up in Hollywood and be like a child of Hollywood.
Yeah.
I escaped a lot of getting completely fucked up because of that.
Sure, absolutely. And what you guys accomplish in Zero Recognition is something that character actors like myself relate to.
Like, I know you, I know
immensely.
your face.
What's that thing? Please snap your
Yeah,
finger in my
yeah.
face. That's fantastic. We've talked on the show. Jamie got accosted at an airport when I went into the restroom. What's that thing that I saw him in?
Yeah.
And she's been with me when you just want to. Am I supposed to go down the list of what I think you saw me in?
Exactly.
And the guy just yelled at her. Just tell me. Yeah, like,
People are aggressive.
Unbelievable.
People can be.
So
Well,
that
but
part
my
of
thing
it.
is I never know what to respond because I'm like, I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, I don't know what
you know, Ben has been with me a million times, and this has happened. People are like, I know you. How do I know? How do I?
Yeah.
Do we go to school together? And
Yeah.
it's like
That's
the,
my new-
the douchiest thing in the world to be like, well, I'm an actor.
Yeah.
You've seen me on television. Like, it's
Right.
so, it just goes against like everything that I.
But I also have
Believe it.
the lack of appreciation for their inability to understand that they might be asking a rude question.
Yeah.
That, to say to anyone, how do I know you?
How do I know you?
Is slightly offensive. And then if that person actually has a so-called career on camera, are you not factoring any of this into how demeaning it might be to have to answer that question? How do I know you? So I just went, I now go immediately to we went to school together.
Do you?
Absolutely. And if they're 20, 30 years younger than me, I still say it. I don't care. Because
That's-
I just
that's
want to
brilliant.
diffuse.
Yeah.
I'm done with the going down the list
Yeah.
of how you think you know me.
Yeah.
I-
And sometimes you'll even get like when I have said like, oh well, you know, like I'm an actor or I was on a show. No, that's not it.
Yeah, that's
and you're
fantastic.
like, okay.
You know, Tiff, you know
Thanks.
my answer to this question,
Please.
You
which
guys do it
I
all the time.
love doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I get no greater fucking pleasure than when I'm at a bar and some guy with his yo, bro, what you playing, bro? What you playing?
Oh.
And then I just quietly lean in and go, I'm an adult film actor, gay porno. I don't. They go dead. No, that's not it, bro. Up later, and they get out of there.
Brilliant.
So,
that is so
the
brilliant.
next time somebody comes up to you, guy and a girl, oh, you look familiar. Where did just go? I'm an adult film actor. Phew, they're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
That's so great. I love that.
I was a serial killer. I just had a trial on TV. Something. Why would you be? Yeah.
That's good.
And also the sense of the way you guys opened the film, where she's just staring. She's not even talking. And the research said that was based on an actual experience.
When we were really trying to figure out, okay, like what exactly do we want to talk about and what story do we want to tell? And we went to a movie, and the girl at the concession stand was like not like couldn't form a sentence.
Right.
And it was so, I mean, I was kind of like, Ben, of course, finds it hilarious. I was very uncomfortable, like trying not to make eye contact. And the best part is that when she finally put it together and realized how she knew me, she said the name of the show wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so she was kind of just, it was more about being shocked by.
Did you say it wrong like I did?
I can't remember exactly what she said. Because I don't even remember if it was Degrassi. It might have been another show that I was on.
Right.
She screwed up the name, so it was more just about recognizing you.
Yeah, it was about seeing someone famous,
Right.
or seeing someone that she thought she felt so comfortable with from television or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird
And she's such a
shift.
character, too.
Yeah, she was also. Yeah,
I
she
went
was
through
fine.
phases of trying to help them, to trying to diffuse. What do I know you from? It's okay, I don't know you. And sometimes they apologize. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And I would just say, I don't know who you are either. And then they would anything to just get them away. But folks, really, if you're out there and you see, it's because sometimes they know everything you've ever done, and that's also uncomfortable. But a lot of times
Oh,
it's
so I
just
shouldn't talk about the best years. Okay,
yeah, no,
got
don't.
it.
Oh wow,
Ah! Zing!
that was.
That was-
okay. We can talk about that later. That was actually really fun to do.
Yeah, turns out they were the best years. I just really, now I just enjoy the, hey, I like your stuff, man.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get specific.
Totally. And
Don't test either one of us.
I think, when we did decide, okay, this is what we want to talk about in Zero Recognition, I was so nervous about coming off ungrateful
Yeah.
or, you know, like not appreciative of fans of the show, fans of the character. Then of course, you know, Ben made me realize like you gotta push the funny, especially like for a satire, right?
I thought you went for it, and I thought you played the awkwardness also of being on a date, and also the awkwardness of just being on a date, and then being relieved at first when he doesn't know that you were on a TV show, but also being a little hurt by it.
Kind of offended.
Yeah, you played all
Yeah.
those beats, just great.
Cool.
Just
Thank you.
great.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. I wish you guys tremendous success with that.
Thank you.
And with everything.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
We're writing and hoping, you know, more stuff.
It sounds like it's raining outside, Kenny.
It does. It kind of sounds like
It's coming down. I forgot to thank the West Side Comedy Theater for hosting this show and being our new pals, and welcome us here on a weekly basis. Jamie, if you have any final questions, otherwise I believe we've tortured Lauren as
No,
long as we
I wanted
possibly.
to ask about Emma and Spinner. Got that out of the way. How Shanae stole your storyline. No, I think I'm okay.
You're okay?
I did enjoy I did watch The Best Years because I did enjoy your character. I liked, I think the actor's name is Randall Edwards.
Randall Edwards.
I love him.
We love him.
I love
he's
him.
so
He's
he's so
Yeah,
sweet.
I really like him. And he had a, was it him?
He's a teacher in Degrassi, too.
Yes, but I believe he
Degrassi?
had,
Yeah.
he was on a
Isn't
brief
it?
series with a former guest of ours, Harlan Williams, I believe.
Harlan Williams, another tremendous
Yeah.
Canadian.
Oh yes, they were
Yes.
on Package Deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was on a
Canadian
series
show.
with him, and I was like, oh, Randall Edwards. I remember because that's the first thing I saw him in. And I like.
What I wanted to tell Jamie and what I was telling her.
Wait, that reminds
Oh.
me. One of your favorite storylines from Degrassi, and also Randall Edwards' character did it in Best Years, is you both dated teachers.
We did. Yeah, I dated a teacher. I can't remember when that happened. That must have been season 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Chris
like,
Jacko.
a little towards the end.
Mr. Oleander.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. O.
Mr. O. We made out in like the boiler room at
Yes.
school or something.
And then you found out like he was poor or something.
But then, the school found out, and then Manny and Paige have a cat fight. I don't remember why. I think she, makes some big declaration that I'm like sleeping with my teacher.
And your Paige was getting attention. That could have been reason enough for the cat fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manny and Paige never got along.
Never got along. And we had this cat fight where Cassie definitely hurt me in real life. And
On purpose, also.
Probably. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
We finally got it out of her. It took 2 hours.
No. And then he I can't remember what happened. He moves to Vancouver or something and comes back and he's like a stoner.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's a total stoner.
Yes, because that's when I smoked weed.
Yeah.
I smoked
Because he
weed.
gave you you were very excited to see him and you wanted him to get back on track with his life and you gave him this planner, you got him a day planner and
Yes,
he's like, oh,
and
I
he
didn't
gives
get
me a
you anything,
joint.
and he gives you a joint.
And then I get high on the day of my college.
An
in-
episode that I saw.
interview or
I saw
something.
this episode.
That
You were-
I remember
was
because he came back and he's like, I'm doing great now. I got a job painting houses.
Didn't your mom,
That
or
was
character's mom or dad, know the interviewer?
someone knew the interviewer.
Yes.
It was far and
Oh,
away
God, I got
the
sucked
worst
in.
acting I have ever done on television.
Playing Stone?
Playing Stone because I was 18 years old and
Hadn't smoked a lot of weed?
no, I had, and I knew what I'd smoked a lot of weed, and I knew what being high was and what it felt like, and they were like, okay, so now you're going to be staring at the interviewer and you're going to go cross-eyed, because that happens, when you smoke a joint. They just really wanted me to push it, and
Yeah.
it was. I don't know if I ever even watched that back. 'Cause
You
it was
forget to
so-
go to the interview. I think that's the thing that happens when
I don't know.
Yeah, when you're actually stoned. Yeah.
KP, I have to just point out, I've been reading the chat board here,
Yes.
as we're, and a few people are really harping on what we were just talking about, how when actors get approached,
Yes.
and how a few of them think, oh, it's
Angry.
super rude if you're anything but grateful to your fans. And here's the thing, people in the chat room, I want to be very clear about this. When someone walks up to Kevin and says, oh, Mr. Pollack, I'm such a big fan of yours. Can I take a quick picture? I've seen him. He's nothing but grateful and nice and sweet. It's when shitheads walk up and go, "Yo, bro, where do I know you from, man?
It's in the
Where do I
snap.
know you from?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me what you were in." That's what we're complaining
Snapping
about.
in your face.
We're grateful to the actual fans. It's the people walking around. Oh, I think that guy's somebody. Go talk to him.
Well, this is
That's
the
what
thing.
we're
If you're
not
going to
thrilled at.
acknowledge, hey, I know you're somebody, just that. You're acknowledging that you believe the person you're snapping your finger at is famous. You should have the wherewithal to maybe have a glimpse as to how it might be demeaning because you don't know who it is.
Right.
It's just, to me, it's like it's a boundaries thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it is completely innocent, and I can sense it.
About 99% of the
Yeah,
time.
they genuinely want to know. But every now and then it'll be somewhat like you're in a trivia contest,
Yeah.
and you're the answer, and they need to know right then so they can win a
Degrassi
prize.
has helped me at trivia, I think, at least 3 times now. You know how many times I've had to list Drake's real name? Like twice at least.
Twice, she's in a pub
At
trivia,
least twice.
an award-winning
At
pub
least
trivia
twice.
team. You have to start calling it Degrassi. I just realized because you
Degrassi.
too call it Degrassi.
Well, it's the.
Show a little respect.
I don't
It's my U.S. accent.
Yeah, how long did it take you to? Because you said the American version of about.
Yeah.
About 3 times.
About.
And then.
Did I let it slip?
One tiny a boot, not a full boot.
Yeah.
Half a boot.
I
did-
remember.
How long did that take?
I mean, it's not something I consciously think about. About.
You just said about as an
I think it's
American.
just- yeah, I think it's just, like auditions and you just kind of become
And when you're
aware
home?
of it. I mean, I don't think I have a particularly thick Canadian accent.
You have no.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
But then there are like
Some actors
weird.
on the show do.
Some of them do, because there's a lot of people from like smaller towns.
Yeah.
I grew up 10 minutes outside of Toronto and was in
Which
Toronto
is like New York.
every weekend.
Yeah.
Very like metropolitan city.
Well, they probably pride themselves on not sounding like someone from a suburb.
Yeah, and there were,
a
we had
polite
a
way to put
lot
it.
of people on the show from small towns.
Yeah.
You know.
I wonder if it's like a
The
Yinzer thing.
outskirts.
Canadian accent is actually Canadians Yinzer, which is a Pittsburgh term
Pittsburgh accent.
for
John Daly does a good Yinzer.
local slang.
Yeah.
Local slang.
Local slang.
John Daly does a good Canadian accent
Yeah.
He
too.
really does.
Yeah, because when
I love
yeah,
that part.
He really
That
does.
where he
Old
does,
teacher.
where he does like it's like an old PSA about like getting Canadian kids to exercise, and it's called "You Need to Get Oot."
you need to get, and pea suit is a great thing they do on
Yeah,
pea suit.
you need to get Oot.
Yeah.
Nice wagon wheels, ladies.
Great
And
wagon
doing-
wheels, ladies. Yeah.
They're doing cartwheels, and he's like, "Nice wagon wheels."
Yeah. If you've not seen that
So
episode, you really have to
funny.
check it out.
And the whole like Bieber,
Oh my
Yeah, Brian
Brian LaCroix.
LaCroix,
Yeah.
LaCroix. I think it's
Fantastic.
LaCroix.
I think it's LaCroix.
His latest single, Ottawa to Go to Bed.
So good.
It really
It's
is.
so smart. It's like the smartest show on television. It's
I
so
hate that it's
good.
ending. We all hate that
I
it's
know.
ending. I hate that this is ending.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Does it feel like you spent a couple hours with us? You almost did. Yes. It's just shy. And honestly and truly, this was great.
It's such a pleasure.
In
So
every
good to see you
possible
again.
way. I hope to work together again.
I hope so.
I hope you and Ben can find work for me.
I told you we're writing a movie and there's totally a part for you in it. I'm not even kidding.
Well, I hope to return the favor as
Well,
well.
Dad returns.
As
That's why we were like, oh, he liked the short. That's a good sign.
I like the short a lot, and yeah, I mean, one of the projects that I'm alleging to is that I'm allegedly directing something, either here in Los Angeles or in New Orleans in May. So now I have to find parts for you too.
Awesome.
As long as you're both okay with being in a triangle with Sam.
Like a love triangle.
Is
Yeah,
there any other kind?
Yeah. I'm down.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Is it 3 Jews, no waiting? No, it can't be. That was the other thing. I don't know that because of Paige, I don't know that I knew you were of the
A
Hebrew.
lot of people don't because
and Collins, not a real
blonde.
Jewishy name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why you said something about Canadian Jews before, and I was like,
Both turns?
yep.
Shatner.
Hundo P.
Shatner was the
What was your
Canadian Jew.
Haftorah portion?
Did not have a bat mitzvah. Certainly not like a religious
Reformed Jews.
extreme.
My family Reformed, but you went for the birthright, as our own Samantha
did.
Ward did. Our wonderful
I did.
makeup
That was
artist.
a very cool experience.
Yeah, it must have been. I wish we had time for it, or I was more of a Jew that cared.
I don't know if I'll ever go back, but
Yeah, I admire all of it, by the way. Very, very sort of intimidated, and also, I mean, I love to travel through Europe. One of the questions I had for you, actually, I'm just now realizing in one of the interviews you said at 20, you went backpacking through Europe, went to like 18 cities or something?
yeah, I think we did. I
But
think we
wait
did
a
like
minute,
15 or 16.
you'd already been on Degrassi many years at that point. I'm guessing you weren't staying in youth hostels.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Just to have that experience?
Actually, okay, so right when I started to picture this, I don't know if you would remember this, but which is the movie that we did together. I had just started dating a guy from Montreal.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, well, I was very like consumed on that shoot by that, and we ended up, we were together for like four or 5 years, and we backpacked together for like 2 months, stayed only in disgusting hostels, and it was that summer that I came back, and I'd been like checking in on Facebook and whatever, but it was that summer that I came back, and Drake was Drake, and it was like the craziest thing in the world.
That truly is.
Yeah.
Coming back to America.
Yeah. And
whether
I was
it's
like,
North
Aubrey was on
America.
Conan? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very surreal.
Holy cow. Were you ever able to see the film Hostel?
I think I saw it after,
Yeah, of course.
which was probably
A better idea.
that I saw
Yeah.
it after. Yeah.
Now, we spoke briefly at the outset, before we actually started, about the Larry King game.
God.
You said that you were dreading it. I said there's no
Just
way
try
to
not to think about
There's
it.
no way to fail. That's the good news. As it turns out, there's no way to fail.
Okay.
We've lowered our expectations. Again, I'm waiting for you
Yeah.
to take a sip each time. We've lowered our expectations. Your version of Larry King is already funny, no matter what comes out of your face. There's your camera. Do you want me to go over the rules
Yeah.
again? Okay, so you're reenacting that moment when Larry would share something in the camera about himself, not about you. You're Larry. So as Larry, you share something about Larry,
Okay.
and then you go to the phones. And I'm looking for a funny-sounding town when you go to the phone, maybe something in one of the suburbs outside of Toronto.
Oh, God.
Sure. Pick any funny sound. I think we've already had a few. Saskatoon has certainly been used. There's been a few. Anyways, so you're Larry. Share something about yourself. You go to the phones. That's the Larry King game. There's your camera. When you're ready, have at it.
Okay. So he's.
Bad Larry King impression.
Larry
There's
King.
no way to screw this up.
I've sort of been hunched
Sure.
over anyways, but he's. Okay. God. I'm Larry King, and
Already fantastic.
I haven't wiped my own ass in 3 years. Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Yeah!
On the phone.
Medicine Hat! By the way, not the first Medicine Hat we've had,
No, really?
but we love Medicine
Okay.
Hat.
I was trying to
We
think.
I think Felicia Day, she said monkey jaw or moose jaw. Medicine Hat's
Medicine
fantastic.
Hat.
And also I love that the reference and the impression was, that was one of the best. Thank you. Thank you.
One of the best. That's very kind.
No. One of the best this month is what I meant. It's March
You haven't
1st.
even been here. Oh God. Okay.
No, honestly, you hit all those. You hit all of them.
Thanks.
Yeah, and you were uncomfortable, which is most enjoyable for us. And I just realized when I looked over at you two, our new favorite thing might be when playing the Larry King game, the little buffer at the top, which is to say, I'm Larry King.
Always. I know. Because it's like I gotta get into it.
You gotta feel
right?
it. You gotta feel it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
Honestly
so
and
much
truly.
fun.
We have
So much
parting
fun.
gifts, and I sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the folks at home. Okay, we have the next couple of Sundays booked. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin Pollak. I'll tell you who's coming in. We're going to have a big anniversary show coming up. If you're in the Los Angeles area, Sunday, March 29th, one of the big announcements that I've been, I probably should have mentioned at the top.
Now, most of our fans stick around till the bitter end.
Yeah. I've never seen one of these all the way through, so I can't blame you. March 29th at Largo, at the Coronet on your La Cienega, go to, what is the website for the Largo, Sammy? You must know by now.
Largo-LA.com.
There it is, largo-la.com. March 29th, Dana Carvey, the aforementioned, from the cover of Rolling Stone, who performed for the first time here in this venue not too long ago, a week ago, Oscar
It
night.
was the night of the Oscars.
Yeah.
And
So-
during inclement weather, the only time he will perform here.
Is that right?
During a national television event and in bad weather. No, somebody did Instagram that. Somebody from the theater did Instagram that. I thought it was
That's
funny.
not bad. That's pretty good.
I think it was Gorbos.
Oh, it probably was growing. So March 29th, if you're in Los Angeles, and if you're in Scottsdale, Arizona,
What?
March 14th, the chat show has been invited. When I say that, I don't mean the crew. To do a live staged version. So Sammy and Jamie and I, and a special surprise guest that will be named on my Twitter account. If not this week, I'm in big trouble. At the Center for the Performing Arts in Scottsdale, Arizona, on Saturday, March 14th. Is that the night after your birthday, Sam?
And it's 2 nights.
2 nights. The 12th is your birthday.
Birthday's the 12th.
Right. So we'll be celebrating Sam's birthday that night as well.
Damn
Those
right.
of you in Scottsdale, please bring gifts. He's not above taking them.
He likes to shop at Banana Republic.
He likes the Banana Republic.
Also cash.
Also
Cash
cash.
is good.
Always a great gift.
Yeah, setting back our people 50 years. That are all the announcements for now. I want to thank J-Mac, of course. Mike, I always like to pronounce your name each week, Dunim,
Dooman.
and I always get it wrong. I switch the M and the N. Dooman, Mike Dooman, who's joined the team and doing a hell of a job for us. Samantha Ward, of course, the aforementioned, Makeup to the Stars, starting a feature film shortly. We might be without her for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to miss that.
I would
And-
just like to point out that is unionized.
A union
Samantha
film.
Ward.
A unionized worker.
Yeah.
Unionized
That's
worker
right.
of Samantha Ward,
Yeah.
who also will be shooting either here in Los Angeles or in New Orleans, if I'm allowed to direct one of these two movies. And of course, Evil Dr. Kenny Chen, who weirdly will be joining us in Arizona, but not on stage. He's just going to come and support.
Love it.
He and Jim Mack are going to make it. It's only a 5-hour drive, according to Juan on a Million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? He drives
I've
in
made
all
the
time.
drive.
Yeah. You're going to make the drive?
No, I've made the drive.
And you made it in 3 hours and 37 minutes?
I don't know about that.
It might have been. All right, so that and so much more coming up to you. Again, thanks to the West Side Comedy Theater, Sean Casey and gang. I believe that might be it for now. I always forget something.
Natalie.
So she's sitting right across from me. She's sitting right across from me. And she works harder than anyone on the crew. Thank you, Jamie.
You were
It's better than
$6.70.
forgetting that it's shoved in my face and I'm embarrassed on camera and in front of Natalie Rosen. The greatest. In fact, we should dedicate this entire show to Natalie Rosen. Clearly, to Natalie.
Natalie, everyone.
Until next time, and as always, forgive me, Natalie.